Hi, this is Arun Bhaskar. Welcome to another episode of BKBB of Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. This morning, we bring you titles as always, and once a week, we also bring you stories, policy analysis, and occasional conversation. But at 8:50 in the morning, every weekday, we talk about news and we pick up titles that we think everyone should look at because they are relevant and they're important to the country. And this is news behind the news. And yes, one more thing. Towards the end of the session, we answer a few questions that the audience has sent to us. So if you have any comments, any questions, send them to us. Then there are three requests. If you're not a subscriber already, please subscribe. Please press the like button. We are delighted when we see likes coming in. But most important, please tell your friends about us so that more people know about the work that we are doing. And today in the news analysis, I have my co-anchors, Katya. Welcome, Katya.
So,
And Anurag. Welcome, Anurag.
Thank you, sir.
And our titles for today are, you can see them here. India, Delhi has said that from next year, CNG cars are being banned. It wants to promote EV. There is a dangerous trend, I think, which is taking place, which you talk about. Our second title is oil prices, how they've fallen, and what could they mean. And the third is the RBI circular last night about new guidelines for gold loans. But let me take the first title first. The first title it was a little unusual because they talk about various things that many people did not even know about. For example, in Delhi, only EV two-wheelers are allowed from next year, and the government's EV policy has been drafted. It's in the drafting stage, yes. But what is interesting is that the government wants to ban CNG, ban EV, ban CNG, ban petrol, and promote EV. At the same time, it's not allowed the most cost-effective EV producer, China, into the markets. No problem with that. But then look at the other remark that Piyush Goyal makes. And Piyush Goyal says that yes, and it's just below the third line, it talks about Piyush Goyal, how China will be kept out for the time being. We do not want China's BYD. And it wants to allow Elon Musk's Tesla to come in. In Business Standard, he talks about how BYD's plans are being postponed in India. Now, if India wants to get into EV, you have to keep an open hand, an equal hand for the best players in the world. So allow Tesla, but allow BYD also. Why are you saying yes to USA and no to China? And the problem is that the Prime Minister, when he met when he met Trump in the US, he's committed himself to $500 billion of trade by 2030. Are we going to start importing more and more from USA? According to the news reports about the meeting that the Prime Minister had with Trump, he also wants to import items like the F-35, which have failed to deter Iran's missiles into the Nevatim airport of Israel. Are we buying second-hand technology? Are we buying ineffective technology? Are we clearing licenses for Starlink and Global-Sat without first consulting Russia whether they'll be happy with this? Are we promoting US companies to the point that the US becomes another East India company which buys out everything in India and leaves India with nothing? There is a danger here. We are bending backwards to please the US and are losing the independence that Government after government has tried to tell everyone that India is neutral, India has an even hand, India is open to everybody. Go down that path, it won't be long before India becomes another Zelensky, another Ukraine. These are dangerous times, and it's time to review the policy in the light of what has happened around the world. And that takes me to the second story. And the second story is about a fall in oil prices. Katya, could we have you?
Thank you, sir. As usual, it's an extension of your story. Trump's tantrums are having a very, very wide effect. In fact, in the last week, ever since this whole issue has started, Brent crude prices fell by 18% in a week. It's a very, very sharp fall. So, to put it in perspective, from around 75 from the start of the year and 72 the start of the week, it fell to 61. And currently, right now, as we speak, it's hovering at around 64. So, but that is not the only problem. In fact, a lot of oil experts are saying if the slowdown and these recession fears are going to continue the way it is going right now, it can fall to even $50 per barrel, which is going to be a very, very, very landmark price, because that is going to change the economics of the whole world. A lot of oil companies will be in trouble. A lot of refiners will also lose margins, especially. But Goldman Sachs is an even scarier number out there. It says that if the trade war between China and US completely unwinds, which is a scenario obviously, and if OPEC cuts continue, and then it might even go to $40 per barrel in the late 2026. I just want to remind you, $40 is what we had in the middle of the pandemic when the whole world was shut down. So if we are going to get into a situation, it is very, very scary. And Trump is also playing all sorts of politics because yesterday, late last night, he said that he's going to go for a 90-day pause in everywhere except China. So all this is putting a lot of uncertainty into it right now. From right here, we cannot see how oil goes. Now, will it bring any advantages for India? It will, because we are a net importer of oil, but it will only bring it if the government doesn't keep on increasing its excise duty to take away any disinflationary benefits from reaching the pump prices. It has done it in the past. It's done it in the pandemic. It's done it last week. So we do not know. So what do you think, sir? Oil will keep going on boil, and how it's going to affect the Middle East? We just want to get the political side of it.
Well,
And you are also talking about the great big EV push. So
yes.
back to
You
you.
see, Katya, you must understand this oil prices going down must be seen in the light of Trump's views even before he became president for the second term.
Right.
He said he was determined to bring oil prices down so that Russia's incomes stop and Iran is weakened further.
Mm.
Now, so to get the prices down, he wanted to produce more oil in USA, but he realized that in USA, the current cost of producing incremental oil is $41.
Right.
So you cannot bring down the price to $30. Second, he's also begun to realize that the prices fall below 50, almost 40% of US oil producers will have to shut shop because it's unviable for them.
Mm.
So it's again a story of cutting your nose to spite your face. But the worrisome thing, as you rightly pointed out, the 90 days reprieve that is given the markets from the highest tariffs, the 10% tariff still stays.
Mm.
And with this 10% tariff staying, the world is unpredictable. There is no clear insight. Trump waffles between one thing and another.
Right.
Clearly, the counter attack from Canada and EU and everyone else has worried him tremendously. But the 10% is still there, and that is worrisome. Watch oil prices fluctuate wildly because the US is going to be hurt. Everyone's going to be hurt. He cannot weaken Russia and Iran because both have long term contracted oil with China, which
Mm.
is why Trump hates China. China has been bailing out both Iran as well as Russia. India could have bailed them out, but India's too scared of the US today.
Right.
I don't. It's a bad place. This is a bad time to do business, and Trump has made things worse. Thank you. Thank you, Katya. And could we have Anurag? Anurag has something in gold, which also has jumped in prices because of Trump.
Good morning, everyone. The Central Bank of India issued a new draft of guidelines for gold loans on Wednesday, April 9th, yesterday, that apply to all banks, NBFCs, the regional banks that are involved in gold-backed loans. The new RBI guidelines replace 32 outdated circulars and now cover conduct-related aspects and also addresses concerns seen in current lending processes. It introduces standardized practices across lenders, curbs speculative lending, and promises to safeguard borrower interests. Key reforms include stricter 75% loan to value ratios, a mechanism for standards of gold purity, restrictions on bullet repayments, and enhanced transparency in collateral valuation and auctions. The RBI released the draft rules post market hours, and way before that, the gold financing firms like Muthoot Finance, IIFL Finance, and Manappuram Finance slipped up to 9% on Wednesday. For IIFL Finance, gold forms 21% of the total portfolio, while for Manappuram it stands at 50%, and for Muthoot Finance, the gold loans form 98% of their business. So, sir, going ahead, how do you think the gold loan market will perform with this guidelines in place?
Very good story, Anurag. There are two things that people forget. In India, nobody pledges gold unless there's a disaster. And if there's a disaster, the man wants money quickly. By bringing in guidelines which make loans difficult for customers, you're hurting the needy, especially at a time when the government has not been able to make things easy for the needy. You have not created jobs, you have not created liquidity, you have squeezed the middle class, and now you want to make sure that he can't even get loans easily. This can be dangerous. Secondly, gold loans are a way of life in many places where they keep gold for emergencies. This is true of farmers, this is true of the middle class. And yes, a small percentage use gold to draw money to speculate also. But for the small, you don't block everyone else. And it's an important story. The RBI may be well meaning, but making gold loans difficult for customers is dangerous. And in a way, that brings me to the end of the session of today. I'll read out the questions in a short while, but remember, please, uh, subscribe to this channel. Please click the yes button, the like button, and most important, tell your friends about it. And now let's go to the questions, and I have some very, very interesting questions coming up. Gold more expensive? Yes, it could. I buy gold, and if I find that the RBI won't give me the money because of its regulations, I'll go to the pawnbroker. The pawnbroker, instead of giving me 75% of the value, will give me 90%. He may cheat me a bit, but I get the money when I want. And because the pawnbroker is a middleman, he comes in, the prices of gold, both for gold loans as well as for gold, may go up. There's a second question. What should the right policy be for India as far as the US is concerned? The right policy is what benefits customers, what benefits a common Indian citizen. If the Indian citizen is denied a cheaper product just because of political considerations, that's bad. It makes things expensive for the consumer, makes India uncompetitive, and makes the not so good players inefficient. The right policy is allow greater efficiency, allow greater control. And the next question is on oil. Where do you think oil will go? Given the present US policies, I do not know where oil will go. Oil could go up, oil could go down, but I think Trump won't allow oil to go below 50 because his own country will suffer enormously, and the oil lobby is one of the biggest funders for elections in the US. There are three major lobbies that fund politics in the US. One is the gun lobby, the second is the farmer lobby, and the third is the oil lobby. So he will not let the prices go down to below 50 because then 40% of his domestic production will crash. But it's interesting, oil will remain turbulent, like the rest of the world is turbulent. These are turbulent times thanks to Trump's tantrums. But thank you very much for being here. Thank you for logging in. And do remember that we shall be here once again at 8:15 tomorrow morning. Thanks once again. See you tomorrow.